Oh, hello there. And we're back with the Hammerbahn Project, that podcast that we do where we talk about that show. What's that show, Frank?
That show is called Bluey.
It certainly is. Do you concur, Martin?
I do, Brendan. Concur.
Well,
Brendan.
Then we're all in agreement on the show's name. Hi, guys.
Hi, Brendan.
So, better or worse, do you think, as time goes on?
It's a little bit awkward, I gotta say. There have been better intros.
I'll take that on board. Or will I?
It was a solid, I don't know, 6?
Really?
Maybe.
Yeah, but that's
Wow.
that's a Sydney 6. I'm giving it an Adelaide 4.
Sydney 6, Adelaide 4. Gotcha. Room for improvement.
Yeah.
This episode of the Hammerbahn Project is called And Why Should I Care?
Here we are, as we often are. Dear listener, thank you for pressing play. I was going to say thank you for tuning in, but it's a podcast and
not a radio.
I'm not an old man. Let's do what we often forget to do and just check in. Check in with you guys. Frank, how you doing, man?
I'm doing okay, mate. We've had a couple of little bouts of COVID come through my house.
My goodness.
Which is fun. As I said to a few people, the most annoying thing is the restrictions it places on your family more so than the virus itself, I tend to find.
Yeah.
And, you know, Jack not being able to go to childcare and me being forced to work from home. I kind of don't mind the work from home thing, but it was kind of nice to see people after the whatever it was isolation period. But other than that, I'm doing really well.
That's excellent to hear.
What's going on with you, Mighty Marty?
Oh, well, I think the biggest thing is Naomi's getting to be about 2.
Ooh.
So really starting to notice all the all the sorts of things that are just getting a little bit harder. The constant bargaining is really like, you know, future hostage negotiator in training. Like,
The
no, you can't have that. Can I have one of that?
Are more things remembered, like what you say and what you do? Does the memory get better?
I haven't noticed that so much. I feel like, well,
because that would be dangerous if you can get away with things like, oh, we'll do this later, or maybe later. And then I imagine if memory, I don't know, not a dad getting in early with that one.
You got it in.
But
nice
that's
enough. We haven't even said the title of the
Yeah.
episode, and you've got it in there. That's impressive. To the point on memory, I will say Jack's a little bit older than Naomi, not by too much, but memory, yes, that's the thing. We have some actual horse paddocks that are sort of a 5-minute walk from our house. Kid loves it. Goes there, takes some carrots, feed the horses, all great. We haven't been to the horse for like, you know, sort of 3 days because the last time was on the weekend. And then just randomly, he'll start motioning and pointing towards the front door and just goes, horse. And we're just like, no, sorry, the horse is asleep. It's only 5:45, but trust us, the horse is asleep right now. We can't go. Oh, what a shame. Yeah, it's cute/annoying at the same time.
how you doing, Brendan?
Oh, look, yeah, doing real well. Just delivering that mail as a postie is contracted to do. And
Because otherwise you'd just be chucking it in a ditch, right?
Yeah. Look, I thought I'd try that early on, and no, that's a lie. I've never tried that. I never would. The mail must go on. But I don't know. I'm trying to come across as some kind
It
of
must
noble...
go into the post boxes to which it's addressed to go.
It's pretty... What's that? I was just watching that Seinfeld episode where Newman is going to get transferred and Jerry wants him to get transferred because, of course, they're arch enemies. And Newman gets bitten on the ankle by Kramer and he can't do the job to earn the transfer. So Jerry's going to do it. And Newman's like, you deliver the mail? He goes, well, why can't I? He goes, oh, yeah, it is just putting them in boxes. Anybody can do it, I suppose. But no, what was your question? How am I? Well, let me tell you. Good. No, I'm very grateful to be living and working in the Adelaide Hills in a job that's secure in these unsure times. And yeah, just taking it one day at a time. It's good to know that the gentlemen that I love having in my life are doing well. And because you're doing well, I get to hang out with you and talk about a show that's doing real well, I think. I think it's going to be big.
It goes all right, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's got some legs.
I should hope so. Otherwise, we got no content.
yeah. We're relying on this. Please, Ludo.
I think I heard some people talking about it at the shops the other day. So, it's more than just us, guys.
Oh,
what?
I thought it was just us.
I mean, we have a potential audience?
Oh, you do this podcast thing for an audience, do you? That's news to me.
I just listened to it back in my car. This is just for me. But speaking of the show that we do a podcast about, what episode of the show we do a podcast about today now?
This episode of Bluey is unfortunately called Unicorse.
Very nice.
You had to. This is first season 3 episode.
Correct. Well, first one that we're doing, not the first one of the season. To
surely people have got it now. I don't know. Have we checked in with any other?
From my sort of feel of the Bluey universe out there, community, I should say, I think there's a lot of confused computers out there that think they're in Australia when they're really not.
Sneaky.
Let's just leave it at that. But
Yeah,
I don't think we're spoiling anything. To be fair, if you are being a good dog and you haven't seen any of season 3, you might want to skip over this episode and come back to it once you have, because this episode takes place in season 3. This is episode 8, so pretty early on in the first half that has been released of season 3. And look, well, you know what? I was about to summarize it, but Marty, that's your job. Can you take us through the bare bones of this episode, please?
Okay, so this episode, I think, is a pretty clear homage to Agro and Agros Cartoon Connection.
Whoa!
Which
what
is
a reference.
Yeah, that's a reference. But no, really what it's about is you just can't change men, ladies. You just can't.
Try as you might.
All that media that told you? No. What is it really an episode about? So, but we should probably talk about Agro. So for any international listeners,
I hadn't even thought about that. But of course, it's a real Agro vibe, Unicorse.
Yeah, because it's like female character and Agro.
Yeah.
So for anybody overseas who has no idea who Agro was, it was basically a puppet, like a B-grade celebrity puppet that was on like a kid's cartoon show, basically for the interspersed bits between the cartoons. And yeah, he was just, Agro as in aggressive and just like not particularly pleasant. He was he almost had a
Oscar the Grouch.
Oscar the Grouch sort of vibe to him.
Well-known Jim Henson character.
Yeah, Jim Henson. Have you guys seen
drop.
any? No.
I love beating Marty to Marty things.
But yeah, so that's kind of who Agro is, and so you kind of get this over the top character here, and so it's got elements of that.
And the lass who was sort of like the
compare, the other co-host,
Anne Marie, I remember her name
that's
was,
right.
Oh, yeah.
because my sister's name is Anne Marie.
They went through a few different ones, didn't they?
She was
the big one. She was the
okay.
big one, wasn't she? And she was a lot more pleasant than Agro, and a lot more just innocent. And was a good straight man for Agro, just ripping in and being just a little bit of a...
I tell you what you don't want to do to anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about. You definitely don't want to go to YouTube, and you 100% do not want to put in
the
Agros
outtakes.
Cartoon Connection outtakes because, and you definitely, and this part's serious, don't do this around the kids because...
No.
Yeah, it's it makes Unicorse look like a little angel in comparison to some of the hijinks old mate Agro got up to.
They were the kind of things that I don't know if the dude playing Agro would have done if he'd known that these things would surface on YouTube generations later. But Marty, wow. Like I play this game with my brother, Steve, where we might ring each other up because he lives in Perth. We might ring each other up and go, all right, you haven't thought about this in 12 months. And it's a game of honor. Like it's an honor code game where you go, okay, and they tell you a character or a show or a concept or a thing that they reckon you haven't thought about in 12 months. And you have to be honest. If you honestly can't say you've thought about it in 12 months, then they win the game.
Yeah, right. They get the point.
Sure.
Okay.
And you just won the game with Agro.
In reality, what's this episode about?
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, Martin. Do go on.
No, that's all right. So what's this episode about? So it's Bluey can't go to sleep, and Chili's like struggling with it, I guess, a little bit. And Bandit says he's going to help out, but does so by creating his most annoying character to date, potentially. Unicorse, which is a puppet unicorn, and just, trying to work
the most annoying unicorn in the world.
He is guilty. So, and just the hijinks around, like, trying to make him into a good unicorn.
I look at this episode as, Bandit is often held up as this Father of the Year material. He sets the bar extremely high for dads.
Yeah.
He can do no wrong. This is the writers, I think, listening to that sort of discourse and going, let's make an episode where Bandit is quite clearly the villain of the story and, thinks he's being cute and funny and ha, and he's actually just being a real pain in the backside. That's what
he's sleeping on the couch tonight. Let's
100%.
I don't know though, because ultimately the point gets across, doesn't it? Or like I think I'm still trying to unpack or unpiece the two streams of like trying to get Bluey to go to bed and trying to there's that dialogue at the start about it's not her fault, right? It's not Bluey's fault that she can't go to sleep, and just like the little bit of tension there, and the idea of maybe trying to change the way that Bluey's the way that Bluey's acting, and then something to do with the way that they're trying to change the way that Unicorse sort of functions. I don't know. I haven't found like a very strong thread that I can tie in there, but I feel like there's some connection between the ultimate thing of like you can't change people and that overall.
And you think that plays out the tension between Chili's and Bandit's different approaches or different opinions on how to approach?
The tension between Chili and Bluey, because I think Chili there's some good shots at the beginning of like she's obviously completely exhausted of this. She does the classic crawl over the couch, which is really like great. Just lying down, and the voice acting from Chili in the first part, or just the whole thing. But there's some beautiful stuff around like, are you grumpy with me, Mum? No, I just want you to go to bed. That sort of storytelling and things like that.
The way that this is like a real bottle episode, one of the most bottle episodes, is just pretty much, I mean, there's a couple of shots from wider where you can see up the stairs, but other than that, it's just the couch.
It's true.
This is a mid shot of the couch, and the way that lends this episode to have one of the most high joke efficiencies of any episode. It's just boom, boom, boom. It's relentless. It's,
dialogue,
so funny. And I found myself like, I almost had to take a breather halfway through the episode because I was laughing so much. and it just, the moment I watched it, this is an episode that I literally, my brother whom I mentioned before, I rang him up straight away and said, Steve, you have to watch this episode because Bandit is just being you in this episode. It's just like the joy of just tearing it all down and burning anyone else's efforts to the ground for the entertainment that only Bandit is getting. It's fantastic. It's such a I can say it's such a dad thing and be judgmental because I'm not one.
When this episode premiered, all the community, the online community, sort of lit up, and it was almost a bit of an in-joke as to, have you seen the latest episode? And people were just posting like, did you know Bandit likes to eat children? And to anyone who hadn't seen the episodes, they're like, what are you talking about? Blah, blah. And it's just that for me, the bits that get me are where Unicorse is like pushing up against their head, staring them dead in the eye, and he's like, children. Like,
what do you eat?
Yeah, I love that.
Just kidding. I like chicken bucket. This is one thing I really fall into a dangerous trap of just quoting things from these episodes whenever we do these things, and it just becomes like a half-hour podcast of us just repeating things. And I was really worried about this one because this is the one where it's probably the most dangerous for me to do it. But I think the band-aid's just off now. It's like the children. And wait, I've got an idea. It's like, Wait a minute. Is it a bad idea?
It's a bad idea, 100%.
There's just I'll admit
is...
now we're not going to get them all right, and then
too many.
when I listen back and I hear all the ones we missed, or I don't hear all the ones we missed, I'm going to feel a little bit better if we just call it now. We're not going to remember them all. It's just boom, 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 boom.
You and your little mate.
You're right. Actually, I take that back from earlier. It's not just that one mid shot of the couch. Of course, it does that reverse.
Behind,
It has like 2 seconds of that reverse shot just to watch Bandit. You and your little mate. It keeps leveling up too. Sorry, I'll go on a rant about it if I don't let someone else.
I think
add some direction.
One of the other great things about, obviously Unicorse is about the dialogue and, so the quips and just all the really quick stuff. But I think one of the things that makes Unicorse great as well is the animation and the level of like juiciness to his animation, because there's so many different little bits of his body that move. There's like the horn sort of wobbles every time he moves his head, and the arms and his ears and little bits of hair and his goatee, and then there's just all the brilliant stuff that happens with the arms. And then just interacting as well with the characters, like you said, Frank, where he just goes like poof, right up against them.
Yeah.
And like you'll
I love when I love when he's they're reading the book and there's the little the little flap up down. I'm like, that's impressive, because I believe at that point he is either lying down in Bandit. Is either lying down in front of them and the hand coming up, so he can't see what he's doing, and the little finger puppet is going up down with amazing dexterity, right? Like it's just
he is an incredible Jim Henson puppeteer at this point, because he's somehow doing
Jim Henson reference, very nice, very highbrow.
Tell us more about this Jim Henson.
He's doing like the mouth and both arms in very complicated fashion. Like in those original Jim Henson puppets, they had sticks for the arms and things like that, or like two puppeteers.
Have you got that written down?
No, I don't.
I was gonna say, if you had, and there was something you had to mention, you would have been seething when I brought up Jim Henson before you earlier.
No.
Marty's like, I don't have to write Jim Henson down. He's always right there. He's always right in the front of mine.
Hey, why should I care?
There it is. I forgot about the
catchphrase. That's such a 90s thing, actually. We're always saying how it repeats or sets as an homage to that like 90s, 80s era, and just having like characters with a catchphrase with a, that would be on the t-shirt. Even like an aggressive character with a slightly, off kilter. That's very 90s cartoons, sort of like Bite Me Bart Simpson, or
eat my shorts. Yeah,
that's it.
I'd like, not to get too early into the best in shows, but as incredible as Bandit is at puppeteering, Jilly might be my best in show for this one, just because of all her matter-of-fact, little almost borderline fourth wall breaking commentary moments. Like, just this episode, unfortunately, is called Unicorse, and her just like, I forgot about the catchphrase, and wait, is it a bad idea? And it's the most annoying unicorn in the world. That's those real boom. It's just exactly what a mum would be thinking. Yep. So it's like this isn't one just for the dads and how electric Bandit is. Yep. It's also
one for the mums.
It's
that's
one
for sure.
For the mums, because there's two people who are diametrically opposed in this episode that can really evoke empathy in both sides, both parental roles, and just the whole way through. So it was someone's empathizing with Bandit, someone empathizing with Chili. I'm somewhere in the middle, and just loving it, just loving the ride.
It's interesting watching Chili, who is known for her very cool, calm, and collected. The occasional flashes of anger, which usually manifest as just a glare that tells Bandit everything he needs to know. She breaks a couple of times in this episode, and with good reason. But my favorite is the chewing. He's just leaning. I can't even. It sounds bad. It's terrible. And then you just
maybe I'll really, really prize that in the mix. Just to... Or maybe I won't, because I value our listeners too much.
Oh, they'll be turning it off. But you just see her eyes start to twitch after the first one or two, and she's like, "Can you chew with your mouth shut?" He's like, "Yeah, I can. But I'm not gonna.
Just the huge movements, and actually, no, I was going to say, I'll say something before I forget, but I won't forget this bit. So I'll, once again, let somebody else talk. Because you can't give me an inch in this episode.
Okay, I'm going to stop you again.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, okay. No, I think just in terms of the episode structure, it's really interesting as well, because we have the story within the story, which we sometimes have, the play within the play.
And it's a great story.
It's You reckon? I don't know.
I think is that a fable that I knew?
Potentially.
I don't know. It conjures up. I could have researched, but didn't. But I know it felt familiar to me.
It feels a bit like, actually, because it's a flip book. It feels a bit like the Bluey Beach book.
Oh yeah.
And then actually, I'm going to get to another point before I get to my other point, but which is like, when Unicorse is flipping the thing on the page and just like being really annoying. It's kind of like, that is what it's like to read a book with a toddler.
Yeah.
I just want to do the thing over and over again. I'm like, As an adult, you're just like, I just want to get to the end.
I just want to get to the end so that you can go to bed.
I need to know how it ends, but no spoilers.
I've had a little splash of that recently. Admittedly, nothing to what you guys would have gone through, but because I'm living with my sister and her husband and their little one, they have, and Erin revealed this on a previous episid, they were expecting twins. The twins are now in the world and they're healthy and they're doing really well. I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying. But of course, with, pandemic restrictions and things, there's been like getting in and out of the hospital and everything. And of course they were twins, so they need a little bit of extra care. But they're all good and it's really good. But I've had to kind of boost my babysitting duties, and so there have been a couple of Brenny Putdowns lately, and so I've had to do the story and the thing, and now I'm just like, oh yeah, getting to the end of the story is really a challenge sometimes. And I think that's why, I don't know if you agreed with me when I said I actually thought the story was good, but when I say I think it's a good story, I mean it's not as bad as some of the stuff I've been put through when I let Nora choose the book.
Yeah,
some of them are just
you've got to choose.
They're just,
you've got to do the thing of like, now which one would you want? This one or this one?
100%.
Oh, I learned that. Oh,
yes, that's it. That's
you guys, yeah, I'm learning so much. It's not so. Hey, what if we do this? And the moment you just give a dichotomy, like
too many
binary choice,
a binary choice.
Yeah.
Then it's, oh my God, the world is open. Because what did Nora want to do? She wanted to maybe not wear her sleep sack if she's got this blanket and sleep sack thing, and she wanted to not wear it. But I knew, like I said, oh well, how about we call Dad and see what he thinks, because they'd gone to the hospital, and I'd messaged Josh earlier and said, oh well, what's the temperature going to be tonight, man? Just pajamas or sleep sack? He's like, sleep sack, please. I'm like, oh look, he's already said sleep sack. She's like, no. I'm like, oh, let's put on your sleep sack, yeah. It wasn't going to happen, and then learning from the likes of you guys and Erin and Josh, I went, oh, okay. So should we put your sleep sack on now or after the story?
That's it. There it is.
And I felt like a pro. And she's like, oh, we'll put it on. We'll read a story first and then sleep. Yeah. And then it went on with ease. And I'm like, man, I've got this. There's probably nothing else I need to know.
No, that's it. You pretty much covered it all, right? Yeah.
I'm a dad.
Sorry, just getting back to my original thought, like the
topic.
The episode.
A novel concept, but okay.
Kid stories is a whole thing. We could do it, but I think for this one, it's interesting to have that story already spoiled for you, because that doesn't, and then you kind of have to sit along for the ride as well. But as a parent, when you're reading a story, how many times have you not? Are you reading a story for the first time? Usually you're reading it for the 100th time.
Exactly.
It's not about spoilers. I think that's probably the honest thing about this episode.
And probably the other strangest thing about this book they're reading is it doesn't end in a character going to sleep or something about a character being really tired. Does it?
Yeah, she's in bed in the last frame. So it fulfills that requirement of kids' books.
Yeah, they've all got to end in sleep.
Yeah,
look,
because
your
you need
favorite
that
character in
segue.
the book. 100%. Oof.
And on the other side of that, you got the Bluetooth speaker.
Oh man, with the disco William Tell overture.
I just love the other hand holding up the speaker. It's just like,
And speaking of the other hand, that leads well into the thing that I could not forget to mention. When the lawyer comes in, when it gets litigious, oh my word! It just keeps the episode.
You attacked my client. Karate chop. That's it.
And Unicorse has got the neck brace.
Yeah.
It's like looks like it's made out of a toilet roll or something.
That's right.
And
With the arm thing and the arm strut.
It just keeps getting better and better. And when I saw that, it wasn't a direction that I thought it was going. I didn't think it would level up that much. And then there's this whole other storyline that Bandit's just amusing himself with.
Oh yeah,
and that's the
point.
They're getting the law involved.
When the two start fighting, by that stage of the episode, you haven't seen Bandit for the last sort of 5 minutes of the episode, right? You see him in about the 2 or 3 establishing shots, and that's it. You begin to realize at one point, you go, that's Bandit beating himself up kind of thing with the 2 hand puppets going at it sort of thing. And you go, who is this for again? I don't think it's for Bluey.
I know who it's for.
You got to watch out or I'm going to get a little bit
pokey.
Yeah, Unicorse is just...
This is a great bit.
He's got all the tricks,
that he won't cross.
The mimicking of like Bluey when she's trying to give instruction. He's like, that's bad behavior. That's bad behavior. Like, what's your name? Silly Healer? My name's Chili. Like,
oh man, Unicorse. Some people just want to watch the world burn. Unicorse getting legal representation and then turning on the lawyer. It's just anarchy. Like, does Unicorse's depravity know no bounds?
And it also comes back into like our bargaining sort of discussion is with the exchange between Bluey and Bandit, where she's sort of saying, why do we have to go to sleep? I'm going to, take everybody's beds and couches to the dump.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds like a lot harder work. You're going to need a full night's sleep. And I just like, you can see Chili's just smiling at herself. She's like passed out on the couch, but she's just like, she's all the work
right,
there.
credit where credit's due.
That
was a good one.
So
yeah,
nice.
that is a great moment as well.
Maybe this episode is about like that bargaining with a difficult sort of kid or something. I don't know. Maybe there's a part of that to it. Maybe that's just resonating with me at the moment. Trying to get somebody to do something when they're not really in the space to be doing that.
And not really many doggy treats in this episode. As we've said, it's a bit of a bottle episode. Couldn't find a tennis ball or anything, but I did spot in one of the shots there does seem to be a record player on top of one of the cabinets, sort of just down from the stairs, which I haven't spotted before in the Healer household.
I feel like I might have seen it before. I think it's in Bus. Because that's
as long as Marty's seen it before, fine. Gee. I feel like I might have seen it before, not you, Frank.
I do. No, I'm taking screenshots for social media. You notice a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It's funny how our eyes for different parts of the episode are very different. Frank's always on the lookout for like doggy treats, and Marty's always on the lookout for just little animation things and I don't know, architectural stylistic posters. And
what do you do, Brendan?
Yeah, why are you here, Brendan?
I just like kids shows.
And of course, this is one where the credits gets a little bit different as opposed to Bluey dancing. We get the Unicorse dancing, complete with boombox to the wonderful tune.
I love the design of that, the Bluetooth speaker as well. It's like one of those UE booms, sort of like, but just like this waterproof, like one that they got free when they purchased a laptop or something.
Yep, 100%. It's exactly what it is.
And just the way he's waving it.
We've got one that we call the Orb.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's Naomi now knows to call it the Orb.
Is it shaped like an orb?
It's the magical music orb. And she's like, turn on the orb.
Ooh.
So that's always good.
Hey, Orb.
Yeah.
And what should I get?
You're the most
give us one of yours, mate.
I'll give it a crack. All right. And why should I care?
Oh, no, that's the best one. That's going to be just the best one.
I wasn't really happy with mine, and I'm like, look, I'm going to let Frank do it. And there's a gravel.
Yeah,
gravel.
No, that's terrible.
Oh,
I'm not
too
even
much
gonna,
gravel.
like,
Too much gravel.
Hey, participation award.
why should I care?
Yeah.
I love the way he tilts back so far over the book in an impossible angle.
And then just gets really uncomfortably close.
Yeah.
Ooh, I should have kept. Yeah, I thought I'd give that a try. I don't know. I just wanted to put that catchphrase in there again because it's so annoying.
I've heard of stories where kids who are a bit older than perhaps Naomi and Jack are, that kids and all around the world, not just Australia, mind you, that has become their catchphrase.
Oh, no.
Much to the detriment of the parents who, they sort of go, it's really cute at first, and then like 3 days later, they're just like, stop it. We're never watching that episode ever again.
Which is exactly what Chili would be thinking in a day's time after Bandit's escapades in this episode. So it's true to life.
Unicorse wins again.
Life imitating art.
I think we might get to see Unicorse again when we were talking to Joe. He mentioned the fact that,
that's right.
They had that cutting room floor bit that was Unicorse focused, so we might get a bit more.
And it might even be worth saying, like, we don't want to give you too much of a peek behind the curtain, but it might be worth saying that this is the first time that we guys have got together and recorded an episode after we had the pleasure of talking with Joe. So I just thought it may bear mentioning because what a freaking honor that was to speak to him. And I was worried that listeners, because of course we record these episodes ahead of time, but when we got a hold of Joe, we're just like, we got to drop this immediately.
Yep.
We can't keep this a secret. I mean, you know me and keep it secrets.
Terrible.
And so we dropped that one straight ahead of time. And I just thought, but then people are going to be listening to the episodes going, these guys got to talk to Joe Brum, and now they're not even mentioning it. They're like, it's too big for your boots. Because trust me, I spoke to Joe Brum, and I'm going to go on about it all the time. So it's not that. It's just we didn't want to ruin the timeline, which I have now ruined.
Hooray.
So I guess we got to go back to 1984 to fix it back up again. 1985.
Wonk wonk.
I was born in 1984, so I'll let you get away with that because that's a good year.
Let's go back to 1984 then, because it'd be really quiet without him.
And where should it go? Well, it's time to calm things down. It's going to be difficult with us around. Nah, just joking. No, but let's all calm things down because, we got a big day tomorrow. Moving furniture. And if you need help moving furniture, there's all sorts of sack trucks and trolleys and caster wheels and dollies down aisle 300.
Left at the fake grass.
And if you hit a flamingo, why should I care?
Created and produced by Frank, Brendan and Marty. You can follow the Hammerbarn Project on facebook.com/HammerbarnProj, at HammerbarnProj on Twitter, or Hammerbarn_project on Instagram. Theme featuring Nibblings, Kaylee, Jade, Ashley and Ree, and PA announcements by brother-in-law, me, Josh. Thanks for listening, and remember to get down to Hammerbarn for cheap shovels.
And then just at the end, we got to have children.